Alright guys, I'm going to start in the center of the eyebrow. I'm going to go ahead and make a section here. Go to the apex, find it by pivoting the comb back and forth, both sides, and you can find the apex. We're going to comb it down behind the back of the ear. Take the section, comb it smooth. That way all the other hair is out of your way. After this section is done, we're going to go to the other side, trying to maintain that same width in the middle of the eyebrow. Make sure it's straight. It's actually pretty good for not having a mirror. And I'm going to take my line from that side, and I'm going to gauge where I want this line to be. Nice clean parts. I'm going to take the top, and I'm just going to draw my part from here to here. So I have one nice clean part all the way through. Okay, this is what it should look like when you begin. You got 5 sections, and you got a nice clean horseshoe part that goes all the way around, 2 in the back, and I already have the first section sectioned out, which I'm going to cut. We're going to hold it at 0 degrees, and we're going to make our guide. Just like we did with our blunt cut, we'll work out to the sides, using our comb to keep it straight. Notice how my fingers and my comb, they stick together as I smooth out the subsection. I'm going to cross check this, make sure it's nice and even. Okay, it's good. Now, I'm going to create my guideline. And do that by just combing the hair in the center into my hand. Direct the hair out 45 degrees. My bottom is where I start, and I'm going to hold my fingers almost 90 degrees to the scalp while directing the hair up 45 degrees. I have no guideline at this point, I've just made it. Now I'm going to direct this hair to the side. I'll have my guide on this side, and the hair that's needing to be cut on the right side. Very easy to see. I'm going to continue directing this to the mannequin's left side. Combing this hair smooth. My guide's starting to get a little big, so I'm going to leave some of it behind. Comb this out, direct it 45 degrees, and cut. Easy, right? Easy to see. Directing it out 45 degrees. Go back, recheck. Everything looks pretty good. Pretty good. Okay. Now I need to take care of the other side. Don't need to have so much of the guide in my hand. I don't want to make it too difficult to see what I'm doing. Now it's quite possible when you do somebody's haircut that their hair has already got different lengths and there might be a time where you don't need to cut anything. If you don't need to cut anything, you just don't cut. It's that simple. I don't know why, but some people just think because they're given a haircut, they're supposed to be cutting something. Okay, take my last section. 45 degrees. Now if you've done these 2 steps correctly, the rest of this haircut is very simple. So I'm going to continue moving up. My sections are not going to be too large. It's important that you have some nice clean parts.
All the time on both sides, right?
All the time with both sides, exactly. You work both sides at the same time. Okay, so at this point, we've cut everything underneath here down. So the only thing we need to be cutting right now is this part right here. If you're cutting something underneath that, you're not doing the right thing. So I'm going to section out just like I did the first time. And you're going to see that this is going to be very easy to see. Comb it nice and smooth. This is going to be very easy to see. Because all I need to cut is what sticks out on top. See? Easy. Take half with me. Leave half behind. Just make sure you comb those hairs smooth, and they'll show up right down here where you want them. Don't try to pick up too much hair. Don't try to rush. You're only going to cause yourself to have to double work. Very easy. Just follow my guide up the head. And for my last section, the other thing is you don't have to try to fit all this hair into your finger either. It's important that you have enough of a guide underneath. But beyond that, you're only cutting that inch to a half-inch section that you made yourself. Finger and comb together as one. And we're going to keep moving so we get to the crown section. So I'm going to make this next part at the crown. How do I find the crown? Put the head straight up. Place the comb flat against the head, right where it leaves the hair, which is about right here. That's the beginning of your crown. Didn't love that part. Okay. Back to the same thing we were doing. Now is when you really need to concentrate on not trying to pick up too much hair. Just make sure the hair that you're intending to cut is comb smooth. Look how easy. Following my guide. There's not much hair to cut. There's just not much hair to cut. This is very common with a lot of people's haircut. As you get higher in the haircut, there's more layers already cut into it from a previous cut. There may not be as much to cut at the end here. Look at this side. More hair to cut. See how I smooth that section out? Work very cleanly. Nothing there. Last section should have something in it. Barely. Alright. Haircut's almost done, really. The 45 part of the back is complete. Now this is where things change a little bit. I'm going to take your attention up here. And this is the 90-degree section, which means that we're going to hold it out 90 degrees from the head. I'm going to make a part to establish my guideline. And I'm going to direct this straight out 90 degrees from the head. I'm going to pick up a piece from my 45-degree section and bring it with me into my top section. And I'm going to use it as a guideline to move into my 90-degree section with. Not taking much. This is a longer variation of the haircut. In most cases when you do this haircut, it will be on shorter hair. Now I don't need my 45-degree section, and if you want, you can just clip this up just to get it out of your way so you don't lose track of what you're trying to cut. Direct it straight up. You should be able to see your guide. See it? It's right here. Look, right there. Try not to recut your guide. And my guide is getting a little thicker now, which is good. I'm going to hold this with me because it's just going to make this next couple pieces I got to cut a little more visible, which is always good. Look, very easy to see now. Straight up. See right where my guide starts? You can't see your guide, just take your comb, tip it over. Tip that hair over. Just to make sure you're on track. Okay. Try not to cut past your second knuckle. Okay, so let's say I lost my guide. All I need to do is pick a section up like this, and I should be able to find it. This is also a cross check, and there's my guide right there. I got one last little bit of hair to cut. So I'll go back to the way I was holding it. Direct it out from the head, 90 degrees, straight out. And to get 90 degrees properly, you have to direct it here, the hair grows right out here. Here, the hair goes straight out here. Here, the hair goes straight out here. You have to direct it 3 times. Now, I'm going to do my cross check, and I should have a cut that follows the same shape as the scalp. And I do. Now I'm going to move into this side using that exact same technique. Pick up a little bit of a guide and a little bit to cut. I'm going to pull this hair over so you can see my guide. You see it? slim this guide down a little bit, keeping a good portion of it with me, and move into my next section. It's a good thing to clip this off and just get this out of your way. That way you don't have any confusion as to where your crown began or where you started cutting this. There's my guideline again, very visible. There's more hair on the left side of the mannequin. Now, I'm going to do a cross check. Everything should be the same shape as the scalp. This would be a perfect time to adjust any hair that you may have missed. And another little cross check you can do, pulling this hair down this way, all together. And looking at what you got. Everything's looking good. You've done this much correctly. You're almost done. Just a tiny bit of work left. The next is pretty easy, so. Now I'm going to take the highest point of the hairline here is on the top of the ear. I want to take a whole inch of the hairline at the highest point. So I'm going to take that inch right about here. And this is going to help me establish my desired length. A lot of people ask me, what if you were doing an inverted, which would mean you want it longer towards the front? This would be the time to address that. I would simply take my comb, tip it to the desired angle I want, and cut it. For the sake of education, I'm just going to cut it straight to make it easy, because it is going to be easier to follow a straight line. Always should keep your hair thoroughly wet or thoroughly dry, but never in between. Okay, so I'm simply going to take my guide from my back and I'm going to move it into the front. Another thing I'm going to try to do is release the tension. I don't want to put too much tension at this particular time around the ear, because the ears, they push out from the head. Therefore, they'll push the hair out from the head. Therefore, if you hold it with too much tension, and when you let it go, it's going to rise up, create a hole in your cut. So at this time, I'm going to jump to the other side, and I'm going to make the same move I just made to ensure balance. 1 inch. I'm going to make sure it lines up on both sides. The only way to do that is either using your mirror or standing in front and looking at it. Okay. Releasing the tension. Releasing the tension. This is the time you want to make sure your lengths in the front are even. Maybe it'll be more visible on this side, I'm hoping. If the layers are already too short on top, when you try to graduate, because the graduated starts short and gets longer, and you try to graduate layers that aren't there, it's not going to show. But if you have the right amount of length, if you have taken off enough, you'll be able to see this very easy. And there it is. Moving into the front with that same guide. I'm going to comb it out. See? Easy. You You actually got something to cut on this side. The other side was too short. See my guides right here? Not much. It's very important that you don't cut this bottom section because this is your length and you've already cut it and you don't want to re-alter your length. Just make sure you got your top comb smooth, and the only thing you should be cutting is something looking like that. And that's beautiful. This side actually had enough length for me to show. The other side was already too short. When there's no hair to cut, you just don't cut. Okay, last section, easiest part. We remember how we cut our long layers, right? We're going to cut this exact same way. Take a section in the apex, and I'm going to take a section from what I've already cut previously at 90 degrees. And I'm going to direct this forward. My guide should be actually behind my section. Not going to be too much to cut off. I'm just taking the guideline from the back, directing it forward through the top layers to maintain my accuracy. For a more thorough explanation, just refer to my long layer video. And this will also be a good time to just double check your length, make sure everything's even, make sure the front lines up pretty well, and the back looks nice and even. And the only way to actually know if you did a good haircut or not, besides doing all your cross-tracking, is to do a good blow dry and then re-look at it, and you can readjust some things. But this is your basic graduated haircut. I'm Eddie Barber. Thanks for watching.